What if I told you that Hollywood's most beloved couple, the same pair who made us believe in true love with their witty social media banter and picture-perfect family, is now at the center of a scandal so explosive it involves a $400 million lawsuit, deleted Instagram posts, and even got Taylor Swift dragged into court? Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds went from being the couple everyone wanted to protect to the couple everyone's talking about for all the wrong reasons. And the details that have emerged are absolutely wild. But before we dive into this Hollywood nightmare, smash that subscribe button, because trust me, you're going to want to stay updated on this mess. It's like a train wreck you can't look away from, except the train is made of Canadian charm and designer gowns. The story that's about to unfold reads like something straight out of a twisted Hollywood thriller, complete with power plays, celebrity friendships imploding, and enough drama to fuel gossip blogs for years. We're talking about a situation so messy that it's made people question everything they thought they knew about Blake and Ryan. And honestly, after you hear all the details, you might never look at their old Instagram posts the same way again. It all started with what seemed like a typical romantic drama film project. Blake Lively was set to star in It Ends With Us, based on the popular novel about domestic violence, alongside director and co-star Justin Baldoni. What should have been a straightforward book adaptation turned into one of the most toxic film productions in recent memory, with accusations flying left and right that would make your jaw drop. The first major red flag came during production, when Blake allegedly began taking creative control over the film in ways that went far beyond her role as an actress. According to court documents, she didn't just want to perform in the movie, she wanted to reshape it entirely. We're talking about script rewrites, casting decisions, and even trying to influence the film's direction. Justin Baldoni, who was both directing and starring in the film, found himself in an impossible situation where his leading actress was essentially trying to hijack his project. But here's where it gets really intense. Blake wasn't working alone in this alleged takeover attempt. She had some serious backup, and I'm talking about her husband, Ryan Reynolds, who decided to get involved in ways that would later come back to haunt him. During what's been described as a confrontational meeting at Blake and Ryan's penthouse in New York, Ryan allegedly went completely off on Justin Baldoni over what seemed like a reasonable request. The incident in question involved Justin asking about Blake's weight for a lifting scene. Now, before you roll your eyes and think this was some kind of body-shaming situation, let me give you the context. Justin has documented back problems with multiple bulging discs, and he needed to know how much Blake weighed to safely perform a scene where his character lifts her character. It's standard practice for stunt coordination and actor safety. But apparently, when Blake found out about this inquiry, she was furious and ran straight to Ryan. What happened next is where things get absolutely crazy. According to the legal documents, Ryan Reynolds, the guy we all thought was just a funny Canadian who makes jokes about his wife on social media, allegedly aggressively berated Justin Baldoni during this penthouse meeting. We're talking about a verbal attack so intense that Justin felt compelled to apologize repeatedly, even though his question was completely reasonable and made in good faith for safety purposes. Picture this scene. You're Justin Baldoni, trying to direct a serious film about domestic violence. You ask a legitimate safety question about performing a physical scene, and suddenly, you're getting screamed at by Deadpool himself in a Manhattan penthouse while other celebrities are casually walking in and out. The whole situation was apparently so humiliating and inappropriate that it left Justin completely
But Blake wasn't done. After this confrontation, she refused to perform the lifting scene that had already been rehearsed with a stunt double. Not only that, but she threatened to quit the entire production despite her contractual obligations. She essentially gave Justin an ultimatum: either do everything her way or she walks. Talk about a power play that would make even the most seasoned Hollywood executives nervous. The drama didn't end with production wrapping up. When the film was released, the promotional campaign became another battlefield. Blake was criticized for her tone-deaf marketing approach, focusing on fashion and lighter aspects, while the film dealt with serious themes of domestic violence. But behind the scenes, something even more concerning was allegedly happening. Blake and her team were reportedly working to control the narrative and manage any negative coverage. This is where Ryan Reynolds gets dragged even deeper into the controversy. It's been alleged that Ryan actually mocked Justin Baldoni through his work, specifically by creating the character Nice Pool in Deadpool and Wolverine. Fans have speculated that this character was a direct reference to Justin's supposed pseudo-nice guy persona, essentially turning their personal conflict into content for Ryan's Marvel film. If true, this would represent a pretty low blow, using a major studio film to take shots at someone you had a personal dispute with.
The legal battle that erupted from all this drama is absolutely staggering. Blake filed a sexual harassment lawsuit against Justin, accusing him of creating a hostile work environment on set. But Justin wasn't going down without a fight. He fired back with a massive $400 million countersuit against Blake, Ryan, and their publicist, alleging defamation, extortion, and invasion of privacy. $400 million. Let that number sink in for a moment. Now, if you thought the drama was contained to just the film industry, you'd be wrong. The internet had other plans. Rumors started spreading like wildfire about Ryan Reynolds having a feud with none other than Robert Downey Jr. on the set of the upcoming Avengers Doomsday film. According to these rumors, Ryan and Robert had gotten into a heated confrontation over some inappropriate comments, possibly about each other's wives. The story went that Ryan allegedly made comments about Robert's wife Susan, Robert fired back with remarks about Blake, and things escalated to the point of an almost physical altercation. Social media users were eating this up, especially because some theorized that Robert Downey Jr. might have issues with Ryan due to his friendship with Scarlett Johansson, Ryan's ex-wife. The theory was that Robert couldn't stand Ryan because of how Ryan's marriage to Scarlett ended and his quick transition to...
But here's the twist that makes this whole Robert Downey Jr. situation absolutely ridiculous. TMZ investigated and discovered that Ryan Reynolds and Robert Downey Jr. have never actually met in person. Never. Not once. The entire feud was fabricated by the internet based on absolutely nothing. They've interacted over Zoom for charity events and even discussed a potential cameo for Robert in Deadpool and Wolverine, but they've never been in the same room together. The fact that people were so ready to believe Ryan was feuding with yet another major Hollywood figure just shows how much his reputation has shifted. The same guy who was once seen as the lovable, harmless jokester was now being viewed as someone who might realistically get into fights on movie sets. That's a pretty dramatic fall from grace. Speaking of dramatic falls, let's talk about what was happening with Ryan's social media during all this chaos. Fans started noticing something weird about his Instagram account. Posts featuring Blake were mysteriously disappearing. Photos of them together, cute couple moments, family pictures, they were being quietly deleted. This Instagram purge had people scratching their heads and wondering what was going on behind closed doors.
But here's what really got people talking. Blake's birthday came and went without a single post from Ryan. This might seem like a small thing, but for a couple who built their entire public image on funny, loving social media exchanges, this silence was deafening. For years, their birthday posts to each other were events that fans looked forward to. They were always hilarious, sweet, and gave people major relationship goals. So when Blake's birthday passed without even a simple happy birthday post, the internet went into investigation mode. Ryan eventually tried to do some damage control by posting a photo of Blake in a recent photo dump, but by then, the internet had already made up its mind. People were analyzing every aspect of their social media behavior like they were solving a crime. The timing of posts, the lack of comments on each other's content, even the way they looked at each other in paparazzi photos, everything was being scrutinized. But the social media drama was nothing compared to what was happening with Blake's friendships. The biggest casualty appears to be her relationship with Taylor Swift, and this is where things get really juicy. Taylor Swift, who had been one of Blake's closest friends and was even rumored to be the godmother to one of Blake and Ryan's children, suddenly found herself dragged into this legal mess.
It turns out that Blake had allegedly been name-dropping Taylor Swift during the It Ends With Us production drama. The court documents suggested that Blake was using her friendship with major celebrities like Taylor to intimidate and influence people involved in the film. Essentially, she was wielding her famous friendships as weapons in her power plays with Justin Baldoni.
Taylor Swift, who famously tries to stay out of drama and protect her reputation at all costs, was reportedly furious about being dragged into the situation. She never asked to be part of this mess, never was involved in the film in any capacity, and certainly didn't want her name associated with workplace harassment allegations and toxic film productions. The situation got even worse when Taylor Swift was actually subpoenaed in the legal case. Can you imagine being Taylor Swift, minding your own business, probably writing songs about your relationship with Travis Kelce, and suddenly you're being legally compelled to testify in your friend's harassment lawsuit? The woman who has spent years carefully managing her public image suddenly found herself potentially having to give depositions about Blake Lively's behavior on a movie set. This is where the friendship really seems to have hit a breaking point. When Taylor Swift announced her engagement to Travis Kelce, the internet was watching closely to see how Blake would react. Taylor's other close friends were posting heartfelt congratulations, sharing their excitement, doing all the things you'd expect from someone's inner circle. But Blake? Complete radio silence. No comment, no like, no congratulatory post, nothing.
For people who follow celebrity friendships closely, this silence was as loud as a scream. Blake Lively, who had been featured prominently in Taylor's music videos, who had been photographed countless times with Taylor at events, who was supposedly one of Taylor's closest friends, couldn't even be bothered to publicly congratulate her on one of the biggest moments of her life. The internet detectives immediately went to work, and they discovered something interesting. Taylor Swift's upcoming album includes a track called Ruin the Friendship, listed as track 6, and another song called Cancelled as track 10. Now, Taylor is known for writing about her personal experiences, and fans are speculating that one or both of these songs might be about Blake Lively and the downfall of their friendship. Track 6 is particularly significant because Taylor Swift fans know that the 6th track on her albums often contains some of her most personal and emotional songs. If Ruin the Friendship is indeed about Blake, it could provide some serious insight into what really went down between them behind the scenes.
There was also a moment during a podcast interview where Taylor made a comment that many people interpreted as a subtle dig at Blake. She talked about how she could be in a headline and have nothing to do with the story, and how she's learned that sometimes the best response to drama is no response at all. People felt like this was Taylor's way of addressing how she got dragged into the Blake and Justin situation without actually mentioning it directly. The collapse of Blake and Taylor's friendship represents something bigger than just two celebrities falling out. It shows how toxic behavior can destroy relationships that seemed unbreakable. Taylor Swift, who was notoriously loyal to her friends, apparently decided that Blake's actions were serious enough to warrant cutting ties completely. But let's talk about how all this drama has affected Blake's career, because the impact has been significant. For years, Blake Lively was one of those actresses who seemed untouchable. She was fashion royalty, showing up to every Met Gala with looks that broke the internet. She had the perfect family, the perfect husband, the perfect image. Brands wanted to work with her, directors wanted to cast her, and fans wanted to be her.
Now, the conversation around Blake has completely shifted. When it was announced that she would be starring in a new film called The Survivalist, produced by the same people behind Wicked, many people questioned whether it was wise to cast her given all the controversy. The general sentiment seemed to be that hiring Blake right now was a risky move that could potentially bring negative attention to the project. The Met Gala situation is particularly telling. Blake used to be one of the most anticipated attendees, with people eagerly waiting to see what stunning look she would debut on the red carpet. But now, many people are saying that if she showed up to the Met Gala today, the reaction would be completely different. Instead of admiration and excitement, there would likely be criticism and side-eye from both the media and the public. This shift in public perception is really remarkable when you think about it. Blake went from being the actress everyone wanted to see succeed to someone whose casting decisions are questioned and whose public appearances might be met with hostility. That's a pretty dramatic fall from grace in a relatively short period of time.
Ryan Reynolds hasn't escaped unscathed either. While he's not facing the same level of direct criticism as Blake, his reputation has definitely taken a hit. The guy who was once seen as the perfect husband, the funny guy who loves his wife and makes harmless jokes about their relationship, is now viewed as someone who might aggressively confront people in penthouse meetings and mock his wife's co-workers in major motion pictures. The Deadpool franchise, which is largely built on Ryan's likable persona, could potentially be affected by all this negative publicity. Marvel and Disney are notoriously careful about protecting their brand image, and having one of their major stars associated with harassment lawsuits and toxic workplace behavior is not the kind of publicity they want. Before we get to the legal resolution, make sure you're subscribed, because Hollywood drama like this doesn't come around very often, and when it does, you want to be the first to know about all the twists and turns.
The legal battle itself has been a roller coaster of accusations, counter-accusations, and dramatic revelations. Justin Baldoni's $400 million lawsuit against Blake, Ryan, and their publicist was eventually dismissed by a federal judge, but not before some seriously damaging information came to light during the legal proceedings. Court documents revealed text messages and communications that painted a picture of Blake as someone who is difficult to work with and potentially manipulative in her approach to handling the film's production and promotion. There were allegations of a coordinated smear campaign, attempts to control media coverage, and the use of celebrity influence to intimidate people involved in the project. The fact that Ryan Reynolds got so deeply involved in what should have been Blake's professional dispute has raised questions about their dynamic as a couple and how they handle conflicts. Most people would expect their spouse to be supportive, but getting directly involved in confrontational meetings with your wife's coworkers takes things to another level entirely.
What makes this situation even more complicated is that both Blake and Ryan have teams of expensive lawyers and publicists working to manage their image and control the narrative. But despite their best efforts, the damage to their reputations seems to be lasting. The internet doesn't forget, and once you're associated with certain types of behavior, it's very difficult to completely rehabilitate your image. The dismissal of Justin Baldoni's lawsuit doesn't necessarily mean that Blake and Ryan are in the clear. The original harassment case that Blake filed is still ongoing, and there could be more revelations and developments in the future. Legal battles like this can drag on for years, keeping the drama in the headlines and preventing everyone involved from moving on. There's also the question of how this situation will affect their future projects and business relationships. Hollywood is a relatively small industry, and word travels fast about which actors are difficult to work with or bring unnecessary drama to productions. Directors and producers might think twice before casting Blake in future projects, especially if they're concerned about potential on-set conflicts or negative publicity. The financial implications could be significant too. Both Blake and Ryan have likely spent enormous amounts of money on legal fees, and the negative publicity could affect their earning potential through lost endorsement deals, fewer acting opportunities, and decreased box office appeal. Looking at this situation from a broader perspective, it really highlights how quickly things can change in Hollywood. Blake and Ryan went from being one of the most beloved celebrity couples to being associated with scandal and controversy in what feels like overnight. Their carefully crafted public image, built over years of strategic social media posts and public appearances, has been severely damaged by a series of events that started with what should have been a straightforward film project.
The fact that people were so ready to believe rumors about Ryan feuding with Robert Downey Jr., even though they'd never met, shows how much public perception of him has changed. The same applies to Blake. People are now more inclined to believe negative stories about her behavior because the "it ends with us" situation has made them question everything they thought they knew about her character. This scandal also demonstrates the power of social media in shaping narratives and spreading information, both true and false. The Robert Downey Jr. feud rumors gained traction entirely through social media speculation, even though they were completely fabricated. The analysis of Blake and Ryan's Instagram behavior, the speculation about deleted posts, and the theories about their marriage were all driven by social media users who were paying close attention to every detail.
The Taylor Swift angle adds another layer of complexity because it shows how celebrity friendships can become collateral damage in situations like this. Taylor, who has her own massive fan base and carefully managed reputation, was forced to distance herself from Blake to protect her own interests. The fact that she was subpoenaed and potentially had to testify in the case shows how far-reaching the consequences of workplace drama can be.
The entertainment industry is known for giving people second chances, but it usually requires genuine accountability, significant time passing, and a lot of strategic image management. Whether Blake and Ryan are willing or able to do that work remains to be seen. What's particularly sad about this situation is how it's affected the original message of "it ends with us." The film was supposed to be about domestic violence awareness and supporting survivors, but instead, it became associated with toxic workplace behavior and celebrity drama. The important social issues that the movie was meant to highlight got completely overshadowed by the off-screen controversy. For Justin Baldoni, even though his major lawsuit was dismissed, his reputation has also been affected by this situation. Being accused of sexual harassment and workplace misconduct, even if the legal case doesn't proceed, can have lasting impacts on someone's career and personal life.
The whole saga serves as a reminder that in the age of social media and 24/7 celebrity coverage, public figures need to be extremely careful about their behavior both on and off camera. What might have been a private workplace dispute in the past can now become a major public scandal that affects multiple careers and relationships. It also highlights the importance of workplace conduct and professionalism in the entertainment industry. The allegations and counter-allegations in this case paint a picture of a film production that was toxic and dysfunctional from multiple angles, which ultimately serves no one's interests and can destroy projects that might otherwise have been successful. As for what's next, we'll likely continue to see fallout from this situation for months or even years to come. Blake's new film project will be closely watched to see how audiences react to her return to the screen. Ryan's future Marvel projects might face additional scrutiny, and Taylor Swift's upcoming album will undoubtedly be analyzed for any potential references to the friendship breakup. The legal proceedings, while the major lawsuit has been dismissed, could continue to produce new information and developments that keep this story in the headlines. And of course, the internet will continue to speculate and analyze every social media post, public appearance, and professional decision that Blake and Ryan make going forward.
This situation really shows how quickly a carefully constructed public image can collapse when serious allegations emerge. Blake and Ryan spent years building their brand as the perfect couple with the perfect life, but a few months of controversy has completely changed how they're perceived by the public. It's a cautionary tale about the fragility of celebrity status and the importance of authentic behavior both in public and private settings. The fact that this all started with what should have been a straightforward book adaptation just makes the whole situation even more surreal. No one could have predicted that It Ends With Us would become the center of such a massive Hollywood scandal involving A-list celebrities, $100 million lawsuits, and broken friendships. So, what do you think about this whole situation?
Are Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds victims of an unfair smear campaign? Or do you think there's truth to the allegations about toxic behavior and workplace misconduct? How do you think this will affect their careers long term? And do you believe they can rehabilitate their public image?
Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because Hollywood drama like this doesn't happen every day. And when it does, you want to make sure you're getting all the latest updates and analysis. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll probably be talking about whatever new celebrity scandal breaks by then. Because let's be honest, in Hollywood, there's always something brewing.